So, good morning, good
Hey.
afternoon, good evening. Welcome to what I think is episode number 64 of the Unboxing AI webinar series. Very excited to have with us Luke Bideaux today. I will go into his background in a bit and then ask him all sorts of interesting questions. But before that, this is the Unboxing AI webinar series by Kapil. Every week, every Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, you will find me or one of my colleagues, as the case has been recently. Okay, it is episode number 65. Thank you, Fernando Lopez, who I believe is a pseudonym. But so 65. But yeah, but every Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern, you have me along with one of our customers, partners, friends, mentors, advisors, essentially trying to peel the onion around AI, trying to unbox AI. And if you don't know what Kapil is, well, we are your friendly neighborhood AI platform connecting this complicated yet amazing world of AI algorithms created by some of the smartest data scientists on the planet, bringing all of them into your clinical workflows through a single data channel, single user interface, and single procurement channel. And today we have our longtime friend and latest partner in crime, if I may say so myself, Luke Bideaux. Uh, Luke is a very well-known face in the industry. Thank you, Luke, for doing this.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
So Luke, as many of you may know, is the president and CEO of Vega Informatics. Vega does a lot of different things. We'll dive deeper into that in a bit. Founded the company in 2018. Feels like yesterday, Luke, when we had met and you had just started the company. So
Yeah.
he's trained at the prestigious Mayo Clinic as a radiology technologist. Had the opportunity to study imaging informatics when it was relatively new as well there, and has certifications from the American Registry of Radiologic Technologists, and is an active participant in ABII, which is the American Board of Imaging Informatics. He's worked with medical imaging companies across all 50 of the US states and 20 countries. Wow, that part I missed, Luke. And has
Nice.
published. He's done a bunch of amazing things. Thank you, Luke, for doing this.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, share my journey and maybe provide some insights that are helpful for some of the community. So that's what I'm
No,
here to do.
absolutely. And to everybody who has joined, thank you so much for joining. As is always the case, please feel free to ask your questions. You can use the Q&A bar. You can use the chat bar. You can WhatsApp me, however you want to do this. But don't keep your questions to yourself. And the first question, as is customary in these webinars, Luke, is how would you describe what you do? As if a 5-year-old walked up to you and asked you, Uncle Luke,
Right.
what is it that you do?
Yeah, it's sort of a challenging question for an imaging informatics professional to answer that. But and what I do nowadays, it's a lot with AI. So I think I'd probably and even kids these days, they sort of understand AI. They maybe use ChatGPT or some of the tools. I know I've got a 4-year-old son, and he loves to generate monsters and generate robots on um, Chat GPT or Gemini or what have you. And so he's always asking, can we use AI tonight? Um, and so I would probably say, I help people build AI for medical imaging. And then, I help doctors use AI to find diseases. So that's sort of a high level of what I do. Of course,
So I think
very
that is
complicated.
so insightful, Luke. That so I have like 7.5-year-old twins, and
Uh-huh.
they call me an AI maker, right? Like I I haven't actually gotten to explaining to them how a platform and a marketplace works, but like so they're like the cool kids in their school, like everybody else uses AI and their dad kind of makes AI. So and they've been saying this since they were 5. So I think now one doesn't really need to to tell kids what AI means. Like they just
Yeah,
know it. That is pretty incredible. So Luke, tell us about Vega. Uh, why did you start it? How did it come about? And what's that journey been like? And have you always been an entrepreneur? Like, what did you do prior to
yeah.
Vega as well?
Yeah, well, no, I haven't always been an entrepreneur, although I did start some small startup businesses when I was in college. But um, Vega was born just out of the things that I saw earlier in my career. I used to work on the vendor side for a PAX company, and then I worked on the provider side for a large health system, primarily in the outpatient space. And I definitely saw the need for proficient imaging informatics professionals. In my time with the PAX vendor, I got to travel all around the world and see the way practices operated in different countries, or just even within the US, different types of practices and teleradiology practices, outpatient hospitals. And everywhere I went, it just seemed like there was always a need for better imaging informatics professionals, more imaging informatics professionals to help the ones that did know what they were doing. And so it seemed to me at the time back in 2018 that there was a demand for this type of service. I didn't really understand at the time how broad the need was. And around that time, AI really started to take off in medical imaging. And so I've adapted the company to meet those demands as well. And so now we've got three divisions. We've got Vega Data, which is a division that helps the AI developers get the data they need, um, and also helps imaging practices monetize the data and contribute to the innovation that's happening. Then we've got the division Vega Pro, which is the professional services to help any organization that has projects they need help with, or more of an ongoing managed service type of an arrangement. We have 24 by 7 radiology IT services. And then
Wow.
we've got Vega Tech division, which um, is part of the new Carpool partnership that we have going, but we're trying to align with what we believe are best of breed AI technology providers so that we can bring our expertise along with the best of breed technology to the industry.
No, I think that's it's also representative of the evolution of the company, right? Like
Mhm.
the three parts, and uh, pretty cool that you're able to do so much. So
Yeah.
look, just doubling down on the on the evolution, like what are like some changes that you've seen? Say, I think like you entered Mayo Clinic maybe about 18 years ago, or 17 years ago.
Mhm.
Like, what was informatics then and what is informatics today? Like, what are has it changed at all? And if yes, like how has it
Yes,
changed?
yes. So many changes. When I was coming out of school, we were in that transition going from film to digital, pretty
Hmm.
far along in that process already, and not a lot of practices still using film. Um, and so I got to be a part of that transition a little bit. Um, but I definitely heard a lot of stories about that transition from analog to digital, and this sense early on that when we presented that first CRT monitor to the radiologist with a digital X-ray, and they looked at that compared to the nice film screen X-ray, they were, we'll never want to go that direction. And there was such resistance early on. And then obviously now nobody could imagine going back to the film screen days. Um, and so I got to be a part of that a little bit, but I think the interesting change that I've been a part of most of my career now has been this transition to cloud. I
Mm,
think many of us that have been around for a while, when they can remember when we first started these presentations on cloud packs or cloud image management strategies. And I'll be the first to admit, I was one that said, hey, this is never going to happen because of back 10, 12 years ago, the idea that a hospital would let their imaging data go outside of their four walls was such a foreign concept. And, many said that this is just never going to work. And not to mention the performance hurdles, the security hurdles and the costs. But it was just a complete no-go 10, 12 years ago for most hospitals and health systems, the idea that their packs would be managed outside of their four walls. And it's sort of reminds me again of that, putting that first CRT monitor in front of the radiologist. It's hard for many to imagine what it's going to be like in the future when many of the variables have changed. Um, I think probably one of the leading objections to putting the packs in the cloud was the security side of it. What if there's a security breach in the cloud? We don't have control of it. We want to be in control. But what has changed there is the cloud providers security they're able to offer is now much better than what any one hospital or health system could do on their own. And so now it's reversed. It's sort of
mm,
like crazy to think of any hospital thinking they could do better than Microsoft or Amazon, or Google to secure their data. And so um, we're all in the middle of that transition. And since I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of AI developers and a lot of healthcare organizations on preparing data for AI, this is another area that I see a revolution happening, but we're in the very early stages where when I present the opportunity to many hospitals or imaging practices today about the idea of creating a data lake or de-identifying medical imaging data for the purpose of AI development, it is a complete no-go. It's the same trend happening over and over because of, just the contracting and the compliance nightmare that it would present. Many health systems are still just like, no, we don't do that. We're not set up for that. Um, but we are starting to see better engagement now. There's still a long way to go on that.
So Luke, tell me one thing. Like, ever since you've started Vega, and what has taken you most by surprise? Right? What is something that has happened that good or bad, but like something that
Yeah,
you didn't expect, either from a tech perspective or an entrepreneurial perspective, whatever it may be. Like, I'm just very curious, to.
sure. Yeah, I can give you an example maybe on both the good and bad. On the good side, um, I didn't expect AI to take off like it did when I started the company. As a
Mm,
matter of fact, it really wasn't on my radar when I started the company. We were all about the professional services. Um, and so it's, as an entrepreneur, you have to be ready to adapt. to an ever-changing market, and medical imaging is typically on the forefront of changes in terms of the medical field. And so that was a positive one for us because we were able to adapt, and we've now become one of the leading medical imaging data providers in the world. And we've had a lot of success in that area. On the negative side, the business model I originally set out to do with Vega was to provide to meet the demand that there is in terms of shortages of imaging informatics professionals. It's been very hard to actually convince the executive leadership to invest in the human resources needed to really optimize their practices. And so we don't have it all figured out yet on that side of it. I think the audience watching, if they've had the opportunity to visit numerous imaging practices, it's likely that the ones they've seen be successful and grow are the ones that do have strong imaging informatics teams and strategies in place to grow. And in
Do
spite
you
of
think,
that,
Luke, do you think
it's
it's
still a
becoming,
challenge.
is it overall becoming cheaper to do good imaging informatics today, or do you think that is still fairly
Mhm.
constant in terms of price?
So, with the cost of all human resources going up, it's certainly a challenge to try to find a top level imaging informatics professional and retain them. I've seen many strong
So just to
IIPs,
further
do that.
qualify my
Mhm.
question, Luke, I don't necessarily mean people. I mean, like,
Okay.
just like, let's say I'm a radiology provider today, versus I'm a radiology provider from 20 years ago. Like, is
Hmm.
it today less expensive to say change my entire risk packs work list VNA? Like, just is it cheaper to do that
Hmm.
today, or is it still as complicated and as expensive as it would have been, say, 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
Hmm. Okay, well, one thing that I would say is with the transition to the cloud, um, many of the internal IT needs have gone away. And,
Hmm.
you see teams being shifted to other needs because they no longer have to manage a data center and all the network that went along with that. Um, so I think from that perspective, as a practice, if you are considering moving to the cloud, there could be some real savings in terms of your, um, hardware costs as well as your um, human resources with that. So I think, yeah, from that perspective, it's definitely
Hmm.
changing. Of course, there's the offset of the costs on the cloud side, so you got to look at that and do your comparisons. But it's
Because,
definitely
where
changing.
I'm coming from, Luke, is that, we see all sorts of different, uh, like imaging providers having a very wide spectrum of, say, integration, right? Like, and of
Hmm.
course, companies like ours see it globally, but, even within the US, like, there's like a smaller uh, imaging like chain of 3 or 4 imaging centers, all the way to say something like a RadNet or a Rad Partners, and then there's everything in
Hmm.
between, right? And like we see that sometimes there's very broken integrations, and sometimes integrations are like completely top of the line. Uh, do you see, like, from your vantage point, and I know I'm going totally off script, but do you see, from your vantage point, it becoming cheaper and easier for the smaller players to use the same technology as the larger ones? Also,
Definitely,
as there
yeah.
are these newer and newer PACS companies coming around, like, yeah, we can name them like New Lantern, Sirona, like there's like
Hmm.
uh trying to kind of build packs from the ground up. Do you see it becoming like easier and cheaper to get like an integrated system up and running?
Well, okay, yeah, I think again you're sort of alluding to some of these cloud native systems that
Hmm.
certainly level the playing field for the smaller guy that doesn't have the in-house infrastructure to compete with the larger systems out there, right? And so with some of these cloud native platforms, you can be spun up and ready to go within a few days.
Yeah.
Of course, there's migrations and integrations and things depending on your particular scenario, but just you know the uh, the opportunities are different now than they were 5 or 10 years ago for the smaller organizations out there. I think the integration challenges are still there. Um, the adoption of Fire has been sort of slow to get going, but I think there's a lot of opportunity for the future for that standard to take off and ease some of the integration challenges that we've experienced in the past. DICOM Web is another one
Yeah.
that has been a little bit slow to get adopted, but we'll see where that goes in the future. So there are some standards out there that are new and fresh and create some opportunities for the future.
No, that's awesome. Changing tracks a little bit, Luke. Now that we are partners, and so for everybody there, Vega can now resell Kapil to its customers, to new customers, and Kapil, of course, will leverage their informatics expertise in ensuring that our customers are catered to even better. And it was especially exciting to finally sign the paperwork after trying to find synergies for a long time. So that's pretty amazing. But what are your thoughts, Luke, on like why partner with Kapil, and why not partner with like different AI providers, or like
Mhm.
I'd also personally like to hear from you, like do you think our strategy works, right? Like, and more importantly, why? Like, I know you think it works, but from your
Mhm.
vantage point as somebody who also deals with providers and AI companies, right? Like you're also often the middle layer. Uh,
Mhm.
how do you see this working?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. We do partner with a lot of direct AI developers. We supply them data, and therefore we have a lot of relationships with AI developers. Um, However, through this partnership with Carpal, we automatically gain sort of a second layer partnership with all of your partners, right? And so um, I look at that as a major benefit, and it's the same benefit that we can offer clients together, right? If there's a imaging practice that partners with us and implements the Carpal platform, they're all automatically sort of extended these secondary partnerships that we have in place, and it just makes contracting and integration so much easier than trying to do each one individually. So there was it's a strategic move that we made that made sense for us, and I think it'll probably make sense for many imaging practices out there. Now, you asked about why why do I believe that these platform solutions make sense, and why does Carpal stand out? Um, I think many imaging informatics professionals are not really aware of the benefits of the platform. Um, and so there's a big educational effort that needs to be done, and no one's better positioned to do it than us. That's sort of our specialty, and we really want to specialize specifically in imaging AI. So we have a lot of different technology partners, but they're all related to imaging AI in some shape or form. Um, and so we need to go out there and explain the benefits from a integration standpoint, from a monitoring standpoint, which is a big piece that it requires a lot of education for many. The safe use of AI, how to monitor it, and make adjustments based on real data, and outcome
Hmm.
information, as opposed to just sort of getting the vibe from the radiologists if they're liking this or not. Now, with
Like a
the right
survey.
platform in place, yeah, it's not the way to do it, right? What you want
Yeah,
is
yeah,
empirical
yeah,
data that can show, discordance rates and things like that, and
yeah.
how well the AI is doing. So without a platform like that, it's very difficult to monitor the effectiveness of the AI and difficult to evaluate new AI solutions, and these platforms make it very easy to try something out, use it with your own data, monitor the performance, and then you
Yeah.
can make some educated buying decisions after that.
No,
So,
I think
yeah.
thanks for that, Luke. We've got a couple of questions that have come in, one which is especially interesting. So I'm going to take the second
Mhm.
question first, which is from Rian, who's also from our team. He asks, we are also a lean team, just like yours. How do you
Yes.
scale impact with a small number of people? How many
Yeah,
people in Vega?
it's
Like,
Yeah. So there's only 6 employees,
wow.
full-time people here at Vega. Of course, we have partners and contractors and things that we
Yeah.
bring in for certain things, but it is a small team. But it just started with one, right? You got to start somewhere. And so we've grown some. But, I think the key is um, you want to find when you're a small company, everybody has to wear a lot of hats. And so you're looking for well-rounded professionals that can do multiple things. It's not until you become a large corporation where you can have these specialists that just, I only do HL7 integration builds or whatever the case may be. So um, that's been a key in the hiring phase is finding um, people that have well-rounded skill sets, but also people that are willing to step outside of their bubble and help out wherever the company might need it. So
Basically, flexible, super smart people who don't have lives.
no, you got to have the work-life balance. That's pretty important. I don't encourage the being the workaholic type.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know I don't always follow my own advice, but you know,
So we're going to quickly run through some of the new questions that have come in as well. So this is from Ashutosh. He asks, what are your thoughts about health systems making in-house AI solutions?
yeah, and that's another benefit of the Carpool platform I didn't really get to mention. If you're an organization that is interested in building your own AI, you do need some sort of development platform for that, and that's
Mhm.
another area that Carpool can help with, but also Vega can help um, paint the picture on how it could work for your organization and then be a partner with you in the implementation and support of it. But it all starts with the
Do
data
you
and
see this
not.
play out though? Do you see this play out, Luke? Like, do you
Mhm.
think like hospitals are going to be making their own AI and using it, or is it going to be
Well,
limited to research?
I definitely do see it playing out for the organizations where it makes sense. I think without the data, the AI development is virtually impossible
Hmm.
to create, right? So the organizations that have the data are certainly in a position to be leading AI developers. There's certainly a lot more to it than that, but I think that's a great starting place for any organization that's interested is, looking at the data assets that you have.
Nice, nice. Then, there's an anonymous question where, do you see more traction for radiology AI in tier one hospitals or in the smaller ones?
Well, my hope is that AI will become available to all. regardless of the size and financial capacities of the organizations. There's so many AI solutions of various types that um, not every AI solution is needed for every practice, right?
Mhm.
So um, that's where, again, having the right strategy and the right technology to get you just the AI that you need is something that every organization needs to be looking at and developing those.
Nice. I think, and then last quick question, we'll take Shruti's question, which is, what are the biggest integration pain points you hear about when connecting AI solutions to hospitals?
Hmm.
I know it's a
Well,
very,
what?
very, it's like a
Yeah,
day-long answer, but
yeah, yeah. I think you can just one challenge that's always there is a lot of these AI solutions require significant GPU to run. And so if you're not open to using the cloud, then you better have some powerful,
budget.
machines that can run this and have a data flow strategy in place. So um, being open to exploring the cloud as a integration point for the AI. That's a challenge for some organizations still. There's this concern about, can we put PHI in the cloud, and can we do AI inference, when the data is not de-identified? We probably don't have time to get into all those questions today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Vega is
yeah.
certainly here to help organizations, wade through that water, but um, there certainly needs to be some openness to exploring the cloud as a solution.
No, I think, thank you, Luke. And thank you to everybody who joined. Very, very insightful. This will go on YouTube and stay there forever. And looking forward to the partnership, Luke. And thank you so much. We try to stick to time. So, yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.